Jessica Paxton with you on this Thursday afternoon. And I am so darn excited to be joined live in studio by not one, but two members of the incredible, buzzy, breakout British band, The Last Dinner Party. Joining me, Abigail Morris and Emily Roberts. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us. I like that alliteration. Buzzy British bosom band.
I'm like all about the alliteration. So
great.
any opportunity to indulge, I will most certainly take advantage of that. Well, I have to say it's not only super fun to have you guys here this afternoon ahead of your sold out performance tonight at First Avenue, but as we were listening to that final track from Haim, Abigail, who's the lead singer of the band, singing along, and we're all like, oh my gosh, you sound so good. You could be like the fourth Haim sister.
Maybe I should start a band or something.
Maybe you should start a band. Well, speaking of which, talk about how The Last Dinner Party came about. You guys have a really interesting story. I understand you met as students in the UK, obviously a shared love for music, a shared love maybe for wanting to be a rock star. How did the band come about?
So I guess it started when Georgia and Lizzie and I met at uni. I'd been writing songs and kind of wanting to start a band or something like that. And I met Georgia and Lizzie and we were all studying at the same uni, and then Lizzie went to a different one, but we met at the same one. And then we started putting together the band. And then I asked my friend who's at music school, who's the best guitarist you know? And he said, Emily Roberts. And then through M, we met Aurora because you guys were working on another project together.
So speaking of the best guitarist, Emily Roberts, as I was reading up on the band, I understand that, Emily, you were or are Brian May, the legendary guitarist Brian May in a UK Queen tribute band.
I was briefly. We were going to... Well, this tribute band got together because we were going to play on cruises. So that's what I would be doing if I wasn't doing this, maybe.
Cruises down the Thames, perhaps? That's amazing. Well, you know, Brian May, obviously legendary guitarist, and way to totally kick it and step in and strut your stuff. I am in incredible awe of that. So you guys come together. I understand you had a very clear vision. You had a very definitive idea for the kind of sound, the kind of aesthetic you guys wanted to represent. Maybe talk about that a little bit too for people who aren't familiar with you. See, I knew this would happen.
Yeah, because we're on opposite sides of the room.
Sides of the studio. I'm getting whiplash here looking at you both.
Just keep turning in circles. And
okay.
It's funny because we approached it with a really clear idea, but the clear idea wasn't a specific genre and look. It was more of an ethos, which was just sort of maximalist and sincere and I can't think of the right word, expressionful. Like we made a lot of mood boards and had a lot of references, and but from the beginning I think we knew that we didn't want to put up barriers or boxes and be like, we're this one specific genre and this one specific aesthetic, because that would be boring, I think, for us. And we like to just give ourselves free rein to follow what we like. So it's less of a studied approach to one thing, more of a embracing of a lot of different aspects.
And that makes total sense. I was thinking how, as a band, The Last Dinner Party, you take sort of rock and roll stereotypes, but you sort of kick them to the curb. So it's like there's that inspiration, that maybe musical legacy of other artists, but you're totally putting a different spin on things. I have heard a lot of comparisons to the likes of Kate Bush, Susie and the Banshees, Roxy Music, Queen, Brian May once again, and then Florence and the Machine, who I understand Florence Welch, a big fan of you guys. That must be kind of a pinch me moment.
Yeah.
We are talking to Emily Roberts and Abigail Morris of the band The Last Dinner Party, who have a sold-out performance tonight at First Avenue. Doors are at 6:30. There's an opening set at 7:30 by Miss Grit, a Korean-American sci-fi electronic musician who goes also by the name Margaret Sohn. Is this your guys' first tour in the UK? Or in the US? Yeah.
Where are we?
Yeah, wait, where are we? Yeah, I'm
Sheffield.
wishing I was, yeah, exactly. Is this your first US tour?
We did another one before Christmas, but just like 5 dates. So it was like a very like small run. We did like New York, Chicago. Yeah.
So I
But this
assume
is-
then it is your first time in Minnesota.
Oh yeah.
And immediate thoughts?
We've not seen much of it. We've just
We've
been in
seen
the
2 hours of it.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I just
Oh,
know
wow.
that there's the accent, Minnesota. I've heard that. Is that, and was I just really offensive then?
No, absolutely.
Is it
Actually, I
Midwest?
like how you said Minnesota.
Is that right?
That was totally. That
I
was
just,
totally
like,
right.
ruined this whole
No. This is not going to make any sense. But people talk like they think we talk like in the movie Fargo.
Yeah.
But we don't.
Okay.
We talk like you just. So it's more of a Canadian kind of
Yeah,
the long vowels.
I thought that, yeah.
No, you nailed it.
Okay,
it
cool,
was
cool.
perfect. It was perfect. So I've heard descriptions of your performances as sort of a Renaissance painting come to life.
nice.
What maybe our audience is going to be in store for tonight? Any special surprises? Any special? You're both like,
Well, there's usually
any
like,
tricks up your sleeve?
We usually do 1 or 2 new things, new
That aren't
songs,
on the record.
unheard. Maybe throw in a cover. So yeah, you'll definitely get things not just from the album. It'll be,
Special.
a treat.
Very exciting. Well, and I heard that. So your debut album, Prelude to Ecstasy, released in February of this year at #1 on the UK albums chart, which is very exciting. But I think I read somewhere that between when you guys first formed and when the album was released, you've got a lot of material that that's not on the album. There's so much more than the 12 tracks on the album that are truly incredible from start to finish. I will say, well, first I just want to ask, so the songwriting process, we've got the lead singer, Abigail Morris here, incredible guitarist, Emily Roberts. Emily, I understand you also play the mandolin, the flute, and sing. So you're like a
Renaissance woman.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. But so what is sort of the songwriting process? There's such a literary element, I feel like, to your music. And it's so unique in terms of the melody and the structure and, again, the lyrics. How does it all come together?
Well, it depends. So for most of the songs on this record, bar 2, were songs that I'd written kind of just fully as piano demos. So it was kind of the lyrics and the like structure was kind of there. And then when everyone came and worked on it together, they blossomed into these, huge, beautiful, wonderful things. Like, Nothing Matters, I wrote it and it was kind of a very sad piano ballad, and then we put a guitar solo on it, and it became, like they couldn't have been the songs that they are now if, this band didn't happen. And then Sinner happened in a similar way. Lizzie wrote that. And then you guys kind of put 5 different guitar solos in one, and that's how that magic happened. And yeah, it's but now we're kind of trying different ways. Sometimes it's still just like a whole finished song, and we'll just work on it like that. And then there's a song that we do live, sometimes called Big Dog, which started, we wrote it the day Nothing Matters came out, and we were at Aurora's house, and we were so nervous that we were kind of like, oh, let's channel our energy into writing a song. And there was Aurora had a new synth, and we just sat around it making weird noises, and then kind of built the song around it. So yeah, it's, we work to experiment with different ways of writing, because I think it's boring to just follow the same formula every time.
Well, it sounds like you all have like a very sincere passion for the creative process and for the music that you're creating. Again, not following the standard trajectory in terms of a rock and roll band, but really trying to put your own signature, unique spin on it. I have to say, speaking of Aurora, I love the track, and I hope I'm pronouncing this right, Juha, which I guess translates to tongue in Albanian. What an incredible... First of all, an absolutely gorgeous track, but I will admit, kind of a surprise inclusion on, you don't hear something like that on your standard quote unquote rock and roll album. Maybe talk a little bit about that song and that process.
Yeah, that was another really nice collaborative one that was one of the last songs I think we wrote for the record, because we were in a studio kind of finishing things, and then it was a very dark and cold autumnal evening, and we'd started writing what was going to be an aria, like an interlude, perhaps
Kind of inspired by Jeff Buckley.
Oh my gosh.
Corpus Christi Carol.
yeah.
Wow.
And it was going to be kind of perhaps instrumental, and then we had a melody, and then Aurora and I had already been talking about, maybe if she wanted to sing something in Albanian, if that was something that she'd like to do. And then we were like, oh, why not this song? And then how she describes the process is she felt daunted to write a song in Albanian because she's from Kosovo, but she grew up in London and didn't really speak a lot of Albanian when she was growing up, because she went to school in England, and then she said that when it came to writing in Albanian, she felt kind of confronted and not confused, but yeah, confronted by her not being able to speak Albanian as well as she wanted to. So she wrote the song is about struggling with language and the relationship with your mother tongue growing up in England. And it's so beautiful. It's quite meta. It's really, and then, yeah.
Well, it's such a beautiful song, but
And
as
that's the
you just
mandolin.
described, it's such a beautiful tribute as well. And just touching upon, that idea of a spoken tongue, mother tongue, and being able to communicate. You think of a family with different generations and different first languages. And I just thought that was such a beautiful addition to what is truly a fantastic album from start to finish. Again, we're joined this afternoon by Abigail Morris and Emily Roberts of the band The Last Dinner Party, along with other members, Georgia and Aurora. You guys are playing tonight a sold-out performance at First Avenue. And Lizzie, my goodness, I'm so sorry. And Lizzie.
Well, Lizzie's lost their voice, so
Lizzie
maybe
lost
that's
her
why.
voice, and obviously I completely forgot. My apologies, Lizzie. So you guys are here, though, on, correct me if I'm wrong, but this North American tour, based on ending up at Coachella, I understand, in a few weeks, which is a huge honor for a relatively quote-unquote new band to be performing. What are you most looking forward to in the desert? Other than being in the desert, of course.
Ray.
Ray.
Hopefully meeting Ray.
Yeah, we're big fans of Ray.
Yeah, saw her perform a medley of her songs at the Brits,
Really?
which was like outstanding.
Yeah,
it was
she's
unbelievable.
incredible.
Like I kind of wished I'd have known her music better before listening to it, but even not knowing the songs, it was mind blowing.
Yeah.
It was fantastic.
I quite like to see Tyler the Creator. I'm also just in general just so intrigued by Coachella, especially coming from England. It's such a kind of mythic thing, and every time we mention it to someone, the reaction is always really interesting. It's kind of like, oh, yeah, oh. I don't know why I'm doing like a impression there, but it's yeah, I'm interested to be in the desert and see all the cool outfits and the weird vibes.
I like that, the cool outfits and the
Yeah.
weird vibes. Well, it is such a thrill to have you guys here again. The Last Dinner Party's debut album, Prelude to Ecstasy, out now. 12 tracks, all recorded live. I mean, that's just a testament to your creative and musical process as well. That's incredible. You have a sold-out performance tonight at First Avenue. It is sold out. Doors at 6:30, an opening set at 7:30 by Miss Grit.
Don't miss her.
Don't miss her. I've heard she's absolutely incredible
She
as
is.
well.
Yeah.
I
She
just
is
want
fantastic.
Awesome. Well, I want to thank you guys both so much again. And my apologies to Lizzie. Please give my best as well to Georgia and Aurora. Emily Roberts, Abigail Morris, such a thrill to meet you. Congrats on the release. Have fun tonight and good luck on the rest of the tour. I understand it's kind of non-stop through 2024.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, awesome. Well, we're going to wrap up with a track from Prelude to Ecstasy. You can find the band online. Again, thanks to Abigail and Emily. This is The Feminine Urge.
Thank you.
On The Current.